My guest today is 2 years into running her own property management business in Brisbane. She backed herself completely, and right now she's sitting at 258 properties under management. That's Shelby, founder of Rose Petal Properties. In the next 30 minutes, Shelby's going to take us through what the first leap looked like, how she's built it up to where she is today, and what growth strategies has made the biggest difference in year one and year two. And if you're thinking about making the move yourself, then this is the podcast for you. Shelby, welcome to the Top Growth podcast show. Well, you are a humble person yourself, and it's well deserved as well. But I've got to say, in 30 seconds, tell us a little bit about your business and where you are right now.
Predominantly a property management only business servicing the entire southeast Queensland region. I did slowly introduce sales to my business as I wanted to provide our investors like a one-stop shop. So I do have a sales agent in my business now, but it's not what we focus on. I don't prospect for it. Our specialty is property management.
PM. So you're kind of a PM only business, which is
That's how I market it. Yeah, and then when I get sussed out online and they're like, "Oh, I can see you have a sales agent," it is 100% to provide that investor with a one-stop shop. I guess with my strategic alliances, I've got the mortgage brokers, I've got the financial planners, I've got everything that they need, all in one stop. The sales just forms part of that network that we provide our investors.
awesome. Love it. So what were you doing before you went out on your own?
So I was a property manager for 10 years before I went out. And then right before I was a head of department for another company as well as a BDM. So I was wearing all the hats.
Yeah. What were you doing? Like, what was the moment that you knew that you had to leave?
It was when I got questioned for, I don't see it as going over the top because we're in a customer service role and a lot of people forget that. So I didn't see it as going over the top, but I did get questioned as to why I was spending additional time with a client, and wanting to catch up with them face to face. And that was like the pin moment where I was like, I want to get to know my clients. I want to provide that extra service, and I don't even understand why I'm being questioned right now.
Yeah, that's interesting. So was it a slow build for you? Like, was it something that slowly happened over a period of time, or was there a particular moment that really made that decision for you?
I think I always wanted to start my own business. I always wanted where I am right now to be like an end goal for me. So it was always going to happen regardless. But being in that head of department role and supporting my team in a way where how I wanted to support them and how the business owner put restrictions on how I wanted to support them in terms of their mental health, their well-being, software, operations, as well as doing BDM. It was just pretty much it all being built up to be like, I can't do this anymore. I can't have such restrictions in a forever evolving industry. If we can't evolve as the industry changes and as mental health becomes more of a topic in our PM world, I think it was just like that build up of being like, I can't operate how I want to and how I need to operate efficiently to be able to do the job that I want to do in the way that I want to do it.
So throughout like an entire property management process, working in within the industry, within the office, you were starting to see a lot of flaws in, well, it's not necessarily flaws, but areas that you wanted to improve and provide a better service for your clients, right? So
Yeah, for
obviously
my
you love that
clients.
one-on-one.
Yeah, absolutely. My clients, my tenants, the team that were working underneath me, like it was all of the above, really. And I really got over it's something that I'm quite passionate about as well, is because I really got over everyone kind of treating tenants like they're second class citizens and the
Yeah.
house that they're renting. It's not their home, like it is their home. That's the property that they're living in. And it needs to be treated that way and they need to be treated with respect. So it was just like a build up of all of those things combined where I was like, this isn't right. Like it was going against my moral compass.
Every property is a castle for somebody.
Yeah.
It's just every property. Like we may look at a property down the street and think, oh, wow, I would never live in that. But you know what? There's so many people that would love that opportunity to live in that property, and they deserve that equal right, whether it's a mansion or a single bedroom home. So well done. So you've got quite a strong why. You obviously want to provide such a great service for people, but it's also about the team, the culture, and everything that you're building, which is your business. So when things got tough, right? In the early days of setting up the business and starting and delving in, right? Was that original why strong enough to keep you doing what you're doing, or was there something else that came and provided something bigger for you?
The opportunity again, it all just came to a head. There was an opportunity that came across my desk, and just within my network, someone was selling a rent roll. At the same time, I was so over what I was doing and how I was being treated. And it was pretty much, I just took it as like a sign from the universe to be like, you know what, here's a rent roll that you can afford, and you didn't want to be working for someone else anyway. So you know what, it's time to go out on your own and make this happen. So when that opportunity came up, it was just like, it's now or never. I need to do this now.
So there was like a slow build up of something that's going to happen, and then the universe just threw the stars at you,
Yeah,
right?
100%. And it was just crazy how it all happened, because even like I think it was even 12 months prior to that, my mum was even like, even I'm feeling like an industry change. She had no real estate experience at all. She's done administration, payroll, and accounts her entire career. And even she was like, I think I might do a career change. Maybe I can come and do work experience with you and just see what a property manager actually does. And so she did, and like the director at the time signed off on that. And she did. She came to work and did 2 days worth of work experience with us to actually see what we do behind the scenes. And she was like, "Yeah, that's really cool. I'm going to study my real estate certificate." So she was like doing that in the background. So again, like we didn't talk about opening a business or anything like that. She was just going
There's
to
a
do this
hidden
industry change, and then all of a sudden, whilst I'm getting, my patience is getting thinner and thinner from what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. And then this rent roll comes up, and I'm like, you know what? It's going to be now. Like, I have to do this now, because if I lose this opportunity without buying this rent roll, I'm going to keep either putting it off or finding an excuse or saying it's not the right time and not backing myself, not having the confidence. So I was just like, nah, doing it now. Let's go. So it was
I
like an
love it.
overnight decision. So literally
Yeah.
within 24 hours, I'd created a business, registered it with ASIC, did my corporation license. Like I literally did everything within hours of being like, I'm working for someone. No, I'm not.
You've got like a little layer, like a hidden why, like doing it with your mum as well, right? So I love that. I still remember the day you and I had a conversation. I'm going to say it was only weeks prior when I just went, you should be in business on your own. You should be a boss. And then I was in Manila, which is where I am now, and there's a corner on 32nd Avenue where I close to where I live. And you rang me up and you said, Dennis, I'm going out on my own, blah blah blah, and I've already got my business name, and you told me everything, and I've just gone, holy crap! That normally, like, it's a 2 to 3 year process from when I have a conversation, but no, weeks, and
Yeah, and I
but
mean that's me just in a nutshell, right? Like if I just make a decision, it's happening. It's full steam ahead, and there's no roadblocks, there's no speed bumps. If there is, I work it out and find the solution and make it happen.
yeah, yeah. I remember when you gave me the name and everything. You actually there was a whole story behind the name. There was a whole, and I just went, wow, like she's got it. This girl's going to do really well, and as you are, which leads me to my next question. So, how many properties did you start with?
So I bought a rent roll of 70.
70 properties, which is
Yep,
a
70
great number
properties.
to start with.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
fantastic. And how many properties did you bring with you? So obviously you left the company.
I
So,
did. And there were three clients that followed me from my previous workspace, and they had actually followed me from two employers prior. So again, my directors at the time knew that these clients were pretty much my clients, and wherever I go, they follow me from employer to employer. And I
Yep.
made that, like, when I signed my contract for both of them, they both knew that these clients were coming. So it was kind of just like a given, really.
Yeah.
It was probably about 10 months after I opened, roughly about that time. I did have an additional three clients reach out to me from a previous workplace. Um, and I actually encouraged those three clients. I said, you need to communicate with them, like, let them know your concerns, go back and try and work it out with them. If you're still unhappy in another month's time, then give me another call. So those other three clients that weren't originally mine, I didn't just take them on straight away and just, cheer to be like, whoa, another management for me. I actually gave them a heap of advice to go back to their current managers and see how they could, rectify the current concerns, to see if they could stay with that manager before I
Yeah.
just signed them up willy-nilly. So yeah, in total, I think it's been the six clients, and three of those have been with me for a number of years.
No, I love it. That it says a lot of integrity about you there, Shelby, because you know, Aussies, we're like, if we don't like it, we cut, right? But you've actually said, no, don't just cut. You need to communicate. You need to have these conversations. So that's really good. So, what did the first 90 days look like going out on your own?
I was like, is this real? What do I do? Why don't I have to be in a chair in front of my office in like 9 o'clock? And why don't I have to put my kids in before school care? And it was just like this overwhelming anxiety of like, why don't I have to be anywhere? And why am I not getting in trouble? And oh, did I really do that right? Like, what's going on? It was, and again, I have not heard anyone talk about this, because you go from such a regimented bum in seat by 9 o'clock, you know, KPIs being reported on, all this like structure that really doesn't actually get you anywhere, to then not having any of that, not having to answer to anyone. And it took me months to actually get my head around, just like, I don't have to feel stress. Everything's done my way, so I know that it's done 100%. Um, it was just like that adjustment to be like, it's okay to have that confidence to know that you're doing what you need to do, and that you're allowed to go and get your nails done in the middle of the day if that's what you feel like doing, because your work's done and you're not going to get questioned over it. Or, if you want to do an open home on a Sunday, you're not going to be like, oh, why are you doing that for? You're not going to get time in lieu for that. Like, it's that weird, overwhelming feeling of, it's like you've got to self reassure, kind of, almost, to be like, everything's okay. You don't have to freak out. You don't have to stress yourself out. Everything's done. Everything's good.
I love the positive tones to all of that. I really
Yeah.
do. Like that's just
It was
music to
it,
my
it was
ears.
really overwhelming. It really
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And even when I hired, like when I got to a stage where I actually hired a full-time property manager, it took her, it probably took her a good 9 months, 8, 9 months, for her nervous system to properly calm down, to a stage where, she went from like throwing up every morning with anxiety to me being like, I don't care if you work from home in your pajamas, and like, I don't care where you are. I trust that you're a good property manager. I trust that you're going to get the job done. You don't need to report to me. You are paid for a job, not your hours. Like, it took her a really long time to fully calm her nervous system down, where she was like, wow, this is what a good workplace is supposed to feel like. So a lot of people don't talk about that, I don't think, and it was probably the biggest adjustment once I actually went out on my own to regulate my nervous system, of not having to feel stressed 24/7.
Yeah, I love that, and that really comes back to your why, and that confirms that speaks volumes again about you and the company and what you're setting up and what you're building. So, what did you get wrong straight away?
Uh, probably that
Now,
I
everyone needs to go back and watch this on YouTube as well, okay? Because you need to see her reactions when I'm asking the questions.
yeah, it
So
was
what did you
probably
get? What did you get wrong? I mean, obviously, it's interesting. All those positive tones that you said at the beginning in the last question. What you got wrong is you didn't realise you could, right?
yeah.
So, but what did you get wrong straight away?
I didn't realize the amount of work that goes into setting up the business in terms of like business compliance.
Mm.
Um, making sure that you have the right, I call them my A team, which is my bookkeeper, my tax accountant, and my lawyer. They're my A team for my business. So making sure that they were like solid from day one so that if I got into I'm not going to say got into strife, but if I'm like, oh, this is out of my league, I don't know what I'm doing, I could just have them on speed dial and know that they're going to help me get through it. The business compliance, and there's a lot of work that goes into the business side of it that property managers don't get to see because they're property managers, not business owners. And then I'd say all of my operations were in my head. So whilst I was a good PM and I knew how to do everything, as that growth built and I'm then trying to delegate, I can't delegate anything if it's all in my head and there's no process behind it. So once we got to that like higher volume of growth, it did put a massive pause on it, because I had to then stop, go back and do all my SOPs, all my processes, all my checklists all over again.
Yeah, yeah, which is understandable. So, what do you think surprised you the most about running your own business?
How much it cost? No, that's just with any business. You're going to have expenses with any business. So I
Mm,
say that lightly, but
yeah,
yeah, no, it was really just the business operations. Like running a business, I'd say is, probably 15 hours a week when you're trying to set up, making sure that you're pre-planning everything, and it's like every income that you get, making sure that a certain portion of that's put away for your PAYG, your GST, so you're not running into debts every quarter. Your tax planning, so you're pre-planning what your income's going to be in 12 months and then putting away that money for tax. So, just trying to be 10 steps ahead of the game at all times was probably the hardest thing for me to get my head around, not having exposure to that. Like I never even saw a P&L when I was head of department. So like, how did I even know what's a good P&L and what's a bad P&L until I started doing due diligence? And even then, because I've never seen one, I didn't know what to expect. So, you know, you're kind of going in blind in that respect, and that's something that you kind of have to learn on the fly. And then just like make adjustments as you go.
yeah, I totally get that. It is interesting because when you're working within, if you've been a staff member all your life, and all of a sudden, that tax thing, the tax component, let alone the GST, you've got the tax, then you've got potential rent and wages and
Mm-hmm.
superannuations. There's so much that you've got to be looking at that there's no training on, right?
Yeah.
So, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
and it's
So,
not something that you can just sit a course on. You can't just sit a course like you do with your real estate certificate. You can't just sit a course to be like, how do I run a business? Um,
yeah,
like I mean, you can, but it's not going to give you the actual reality of that in terms of like compliance and payroll and when you're starting a business, it's not, you can't just be like, oh, my bookkeeper will do that. Oh, my accountant will do that, because you're a startup, so you have no money to do that. Even like down to the website. I got website quotes, and one of them was like 20 grand to build a website. And I'm like, I'm a startup, I can't afford that. So it was like a matter of me having YouTube on one screen and me doing it on the other screen. And I was like building my own website. So, it's things like that. It's the reality. It's people can talk about, oh, just do this and just do that, but once you actually do it and you got a budget that you need to stick to, it puts it into a different perspective where you have to start thinking outside the box to be like, how do I do this myself, but also be the PM as well.
yeah, no, well said. That's very well said. And 20K, that's quite reasonable in some of the prices that I've seen people pay as well.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
but
Yeah.
you are a startup and you're only focusing on one area, whereas some people they're throwing everything at once. So, what do you think? What did you think that was going to be really hard that actually turned out to be easy? Like, was there something that was, oh my goodness, you were so stressed about, but it was fine? But then at the same time, then what blindsided you?
I think it was probably I don't know, in terms of blindsiding, I guess with where my BDM and PM background has come from, um, organic growth was extremely easy for me. Like, I didn't have to, work over the top or super hard to do follow ups. And I didn't have to work super hard to have a really, really good pipeline and a really good organic growth in numbers. So, again, that mindset is what kind of blindsided me because I was like, organic growth is going to be so easy. And no, it was not. It was really challenging. And it's a matter of that consistency. Like you have to show up every day. Like even though I didn't carry the amount of stress and burden around in the day-to-day activities, um, that pressure that you put on yourself that you've still got to grow, you've still got to get the organic growth, you've still got to try and get doors every week, with no pipeline, with no database. You're coming from something that is a startup, so there's no CRM, there's no database. It's your face and that's it. Go for gold, start from scratch. That mindset took me so long to adjust to because I was kind of beating myself up for ages, being like, why am I not bringing on 20 properties a month? This is crazy. I must be doing something wrong. I was really, really hard on myself. So again, adjust the mindset of what the reality is and don't let what you see on social media and the perception of other people who have been, doing it a really long time. Don't let yourself compare yourself to them when you're a brand new startup, because it takes so long to build up that network once you're out on your own. I'm not saying it's like impossible. It's just it's hard. It's hard work. You've got to be consistent. You've got to show up. You've got to really want it. Um, and yeah, just don't compare yourself to larger agencies or independents that have been open for a really long time.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, and taking this back to what you were saying at the beginning, all of a sudden you don't have a sales team to rely on that's feeding your leads, right? Because you don't realize how reactive you are when you're working within a business. All of a sudden you've got to be proactive. So if you were to start again tomorrow, what would you do differently?
I would firstly get all my operations and processes down pat. Like I would do checklists from go to woe. I would do educational videos. I would do screen recordings, scribe everything. I'd nail everything exactly the way I wanted. Because we did find that once that growth got to a certain stage, I then had to stop, go back because I can't delegate anything. I can't train someone to do what I want to step away from if everything's in my head and I have nothing to give them, which then stops me from growing because I have to then go back and create a process, create SOPs, create checklists, then train someone to do how I want it, and then go back to doing growth. So I would go back and make sure that all of that was done first. And it's actually really funny because as I was launching, a very, very well known, a very well known she's not a coach, but yeah, she's amazing. She actually said to me from the very, very beginning, make sure you do all your SOPs, get all your operation stuff done. And I thought, why would I need that? It's just me. Like, in my head, I was like, as if I'm going to waste time on that. And that thought comes back to me so much now because I'm like, you idiot, you should have listened.
They're just on
Because
your shoulder, just chatting.
yeah, I've got her voice in my head constantly being like, do your SOP. Every new process, I'm like, do an SOP. Because it is actually really, really important as you grow. Because again, no one admits that when you first start up, a lot of people start up for financial freedom and I guess the work-life balance. So that is a lot of people's whys. And they have that to start with, which is amazing, but they are not thinking about, and even this was me as well, they are not thinking about 12 months from when they start up. They're not thinking about 3 years. They're not thinking about 5 years. And when you go out on your own and you're doing really well with your service, the service you're providing, what you kind of want to deliver is going exactly how you want, you're not then thinking about the next property manager you're going to have to hire and put in place, because you're just like, oh, I'm just going to be an owner operator. I'm just going to do it myself. But then when you get to that point where you're like, wow, I'm still growing. I'm going to have to employ someone. I'm going to have to get a VA. I'm going to have to get a leasing agent. You did not think of that when you first started. And that's why the operation side is so important, because when you get to that stage, it'll just be fluent. You won't have to stop your growth to be able to bring someone on and then train someone. It'll already be set up.
Yeah. So, I mean, tying that into the next question, right? So, how many properties are you managing now compared to when you first started? So, I think you said, it was basically 70 properties that you started with,
Yeah.
right? And no doubt you thought that, systems and procedures would come with that, but it doesn't. All of a sudden, you've got these 70 properties, right? So, I've just wanted to tie in what you were saying to that, right? But how many properties are you managing right now?
258.
Wow, which is brilliant. Now,
Yep.
what's been your biggest growth driver? Referrals, prospecting, marketing, something else like?
No, the two biggest ones was social media. So it was actually, majority of it was Instagram Reels were catching a lot of attention. And then referral partnerships. So actually, like, a lot of the networking I do, I mean, not even like with strategic alliances like your brokers and your accountants and things like that. Let's just flick it back to the PM side of it. I've got PMs that I work with now all around Australia that refer clients to me from all around Australia just by being connected with other property managers.
Yep.
And having other property managers acknowledge that you're a gunner what you do, you know what you're talking about. They can see it from the outside how amazing you've got everything set up in your back end, where they have confidence to refer it. I think that's like the biggest pat on the back. But
Yep.
it has been like my biggest, I guess my biggest kind of driver into that organic growth is from other property managers around Australia.
But that's coming back to your social media, right? So yes, let's give everyone a pat on the back, but it's the social media that's keeping you top of mind in front of these PMs. They're seeing you giving advice, they're seeing what you're doing. They're seeing, the IGT Inner Circle is a prime example of. I get people reach out to me saying, Dennis, I'm not happy with my agent. Can you help me find someone? Or it's another property manager and they don't want to ask in the IGT Inner Circle, so they get me to ask. And if I say Brisbane, you are one of the first that people throw at, right? Which is
And I
brilliant,
think
and
that
it
social media.
speaks
Yeah, that
it
social
speaks
media
volumes.
aspect is really important, because not only do I share like, behind the scenes and educational content and what we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, but I also share like a lot of like screenshots or video recordings of my actual processes. Like, I will happily share what my exit report looks like, or what my entry report looks like, or
Yeah,
I did an insurance comparison for clients, and I'll share that exactly what the client gets. So again, these other PMs are also being like, holy wow, we don't see that level in our offices, and then again, that helps build their trust with referring clients to me as well.
yeah, brilliant. So social media would be the number one needle that's moved the most growth for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
So would you say that's proactive prospecting for you? Like,
Yeah,
is that
I
a?
think so. Because it
Yep.
serves more than one purpose. Like, one, it's already building trust with clients. So if I
Yep.
do like a new business proposal, I actually include links to my Instagram, because
Well done.
it helps them instantly go to my Instagram page. They instantly watch my videos. It helps them get to know me without me having to sit on a Zoom call with them or go and meet them face to face. They can scroll through in the space of 5 minutes, watch, 10 of my videos, and be like, okay, yeah, she knows what she's talking about. It helps build that trust and that credibility. It also then obviously helps build that network, and the clients are then, seeing that on their feeds and then organically coming through to me. So I really don't have to put much work and effort in like prospecting and following up, and all the
Yep.
leads that I get through social media. They're also the ones that I think come in like the hottest, because once a client trusts you and what you're capable of and your abilities, your processes, then like the fees don't even come into it. It's more of just like I want you because it's you, not because of your fees that are being offered. So I find that I have to do less negotiating and things like that when they're coming through my social media platform.
They see you, they like you, they trust you, they want you, right?
Yeah,
And when someone wants you, they're not asking what are your fees, right?
yeah, that's
So
exactly right.
that's it's exactly what we coach on, and it's music to my ears hearing this, Shelby.
Yeah,
And just to add a little bit of coaching, I want to add an element to that. By you feeding them to your social media, if they don't use you, you've just tapped their algorithm. They are now part of your ecosystem, so you're going to be in there. You remember you're talking about this particular person that said you should be getting these things done? That's going to be you for those landlords that don't use you, and I love it. So that's brilliant. So I know you didn't have a BDM when you started. You were the BDM yourself, which is you are amazing at it. But more importantly, on that, right? So what would you do more of if you could go back, right? And what did you waste time on that wasn't productive for you when it comes to your growth tactics as the BDM?
oh, that's a good one. In terms of things that I guess I wasted time on, um, nothing really comes to mind. I know there was an actual time there where I did like printed letters and I actually like went to the post box. I look back now and I'm like, I mean, like they work in specific occasions. Like they do work. Um,
Yep.
they just didn't work the way that I was doing it. Um, so I think that was probably one thing that just didn't go to plan. I think if I had have done more, and it's crazy because I'm 2 years out and I'm actually about to like actually implement this now. But those educational videos, like planning out and putting what I actually do behind the scenes on every single process into a video format, um, I think that would have been game changing. Like, we're about to create a video that onboards our tenants. So instead of them reading this long email that honestly they probably don't even read, I can just send them a YouTube link and be like, "Welcome to Rose Petal." Same with our landlords that we onboard. Just mapping out like a heap of why routine inspections are important. No, we're not just going in, spending 5 minutes there and walking away. There's a lot more goes on behind the scenes, like trying to educate that I am not just a rent collector. Like I think that is the biggest thing that I have so much value that I have to give out, but if I'm not putting that into a format where a landlord can see how much value I have to offer, then I'm not going to get the business. So I think putting that into a video format is probably something that I would have loved to do, from kind of day one.
Yeah, I love that. And when people are watching your videos on YouTube, your search engine optimization goes up. So make sure that you backlink those to your website as well, which is brilliant. So I love that. So what does your team look like now?
So it's got me in the driver's seat. I don't really do too much PM stuff anymore. It's me kind of just supporting the team and doing BDM. We've got my mum, who is a co-director. She is like our field agent, so she does a lot of our open homes, our routine inspections. And then I've got a full-time property manager who handles, I'd say, 90% of the whole 250 whatever properties we've got. She does majority of all the communications and everything. And then I've got a VA that sits in the back end. So she supports me and all my craziness. She's kind of like my PA. She supports the team with like lease renewals, any paperwork that's required, and then she also supports all of our social media and my sales agent with anything that he does. So she's pretty much like an all-rounder. But again, I wouldn't say that we're able to operate the volume that we do if I didn't have the amount of processes, automations, templates, and everything that I've set up in the back end.
That person's talking on your shoulder again,
I
right?
know.
And I reckon I know who it is too. And we'll talk at the end of this, okay?
Yeah.
So who do you think should seriously consider going out on their own?
If you're sitting in a portfolio right now, feeling like you're being micromanaged, but you're just spot on every single time, and you're sitting there being like, why do I have to be in an office at 9 o'clock every day? Why do I have to report my KPIs when my clients are satisfied? Why am I answering and why am I doing this stuff? They're the people that really need to think about going out on their own. And I mean, fear is anyone, like in any situation. It's not even work related, but fear is what's going to hold you back the most. So as soon as you do a little bit of internal work on yourself to regulate those emotions, like Bob's your uncle, you're good to go.
So, in that, what do you think the biggest fear is that's holding people back?
Not having the financial guarantee. It's really easy
And
when you go to work every day and you get a paycheck every week and you don't
yeah,
have to worry about it.
do you think that should hold a person back that's considering going out on their own?
No, no. I think there are so many ways that you can get around that.
Okay.
And people sometimes it's just a lack of knowledge. So it's nothing wrong with anyone who's thinking like that because it's the rational way to think.
Yeah.
But it's only because the lack of education around what the actual options are in terms of how to actually start a business, how to fund the startup of that business, and how to project your first 12 months. It's only a lack of education. So as soon as you look into the options around, either potentially buying a rent roll or just having the funds available in a bank account that are that backup, your resource when you need it, then the fear is eliminated. So then it's like, well, then what's holding you back?
Yeah, I think you've already answered the next question, and that is, what would you say to someone that is considering going out on their own? Someone sitting at the desk, they're, whatever emotion they're going through right now, they may be too scared to move. But what would you say to that person?
Why are you scared? Like honestly, write a list of why you haven't gone out on your own already, and then actually
Tip.
rationalize every single one of those lists to be like, okay, well, how do I solve that fear? How do I get rid of that fear? What do I need to do for that fear to be off the list? Because that is all it is. It is just fear related. And once you actually identify and acknowledge what those fears are, you're able to find solutions for them so that they don't become fear anymore and you're able to still move forward. I don't think that there's no reason why anyone can't go out and do this. Like if you are as passionate as, I mean, if you're still a PM, then you've got to have some kind of passion for the industry. So if you are passionate about what you do every day, you love what you do every day, and you're just sick of your circumstances, find a solution. You find solutions
Yeah.
every day for clients, tenants, trades. So why don't you go and find your own solutions and start your own business?
You know what? I love that. And I also love that you said tick it off. So if you're going to write a checklist of why you're not, you put a little square there, right? And you tick it once you overcome it. That is
Yeah,
a brilliant tip to give people. Write it down, right?
yeah,
Because once it's written, then it's there to overcome,
absolutely.
so
I think
rather than
business ownership,
doing it.
yeah, business
Yeah.
ownership will give you the biggest mental challenge of your life. Like if
Yeah.
you think that you could have overcome some past trauma or whatever you've got going on, relationship breakdowns, whatever it is in your actual life every day, um, business ownership is something else because you've got to maintain that emotional stability where you can't just lose it as at a tenant one day because you're in a bad mood. You can't just be like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, walk away. Like
Yeah.
you've got to dig deep on the hard days and then really smile and reward yourself on the good days. It's a journey and it's a roller coaster and you've really got to just be strapped in and be like, this is what I wanted. This is what I asked for. Find the solution for yourself. You find solutions for everyone else every day. So find the solution for yourself and just keep pushing forward. And the reward pays off. Like it's so worth it not having to answer to anyone and being able to do exactly what you want to do within your business, your way. Create a legacy for what's to come in the future. And I mean, there's a lot of people scared about the market right now. But again, like what is to come that we haven't already been through in the last 20, 30 years? There's still agencies open that have been open for 30, 40, 50 years. You
That's
know,
right.
just be the agent that adapts and evolves and is ahead of the game, is forward thinking. Don't be reactive. Like,
Yeah, and
again,
there
there's
may
just,
be less people buying investment properties right now, but there is a lot of landlords that aren't happy with their current managements right now. So having those social media strategies and doing what you're doing, Shelby, that's going to draw people to you, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Yeah, 100%. And
Mm.
look, if I meet a client and they're like, "Oh no, I'm really happy with my property manager. My property manager's name is this." I'm like, "You know what? That is amazing. Well done to that agency that you actually know your property manager's name." Um,
Yes.
as soon as they go, "Oh, I haven't heard from I don't know who my PM is." I'm like, "We need to continue this chat."
Good
So,
social media post there,
yeah,
Shelby. Instead of when someone does a post, "Are you happy with your property manager?" That stuff don't work, right?
no,
You've got to overcome the pain. But if you highlight the pain by saying, "Do you know your property manager's name? If not, I'm Shelby," right? That will catch more attention. So
100%.
well said. Okay, so have you got any shout outs that you'd like to scream out to anyone? Where can people find you? Obviously, I think you really need to thank your mum as well. I
Yes.
think she's amazing. I've met your mum. I think she's a beautiful soul, just like you. But what a shout out to anyone? You've got that opportunity, and where can people find you?
Yeah, no, definitely right. My mum is like my biggest backbone. She 100% trusted me. Like she literally left her job to come and support me when I was doing this. So yeah, no, my mum is absolutely the biggest supporter, and I will support that woman back in with employment until she feels like retiring on her terms. So absolutely. I think my property manager as well, Kelly, she's absolutely amazing, and she has my back 1000%. Which allows me to do a lot of self development on that business owner level as well, because I can step away from the business when I need. So massive shout out to her. But for anyone thinking about, should I be a business owner? Should I do it? How do I do it? What are my options? Um, yeah, Shelby underscore Queensland property manager is where you find me at socials. Um, and I just want to add, like, there is so many options. Like, I can't even list them on one hand, the amount of options available to you with starting a rent roll, or there's a lot of people talking about going into partnerships, having somebody else manage the asset while you still work a full-time job. Like there are just endless opportunities that can be discussed that no one talks about. Everyone just talks about go out on your own, start from one door and just continue building with organic growth. And for some people, that financially is just not doable because you need that consistent income behind you just to be able to support you leaving a full-time job. But there's just so many options available. So yeah, happy to answer any chats because yeah, I just find the solutions. If I want to do something, I'll make it work and I'll find the solution. So people need to start backing themselves as well.
Absolutely, Shelby. It is just a pleasure listening to you speak. It really is. And I love every time we catch up. I feel like our conversations go for hours sometimes. And I don't think we've ever had a 5-minute conversation. But, thank you so much for your time. You clearly have got some amazing goals there. You're doing a fantastic job. People can hear your passion, they can feel your passion. And make sure you watch this on YouTube so you can see Shelby's reaction throughout the questions as well. So thank you so much, Shelby. People are going to get so much value out of this, as was my plan. And you've encouraged me in knowing that what you're doing is building your empire and building an amazing business for people to come and work for you and your clients as well, and it shows. So thank you for your time.